All right, folks, welcome to another live event. It's Monday, it's 4 p.m. here in Arizona. I think the time has changed because it's still 4 p.m. here, but I think it's 1 hour later now on the East Coast because you guys changed time. And we don't because we're cool. We weren't here last week, but we're back now this week. I know there's been a lot of questions about crumble in the comments already, which is good. Ben, there's a science question from John Jackson. He says, how much are crumble cookies at Pilot Institute, doing a comparison to Tennessee? So Ben is gonna look it up, or maybe he remembers.
I remember. Anytime that someone sends us crumble, the price is free. We don't pay for crumble. That's what the price is. Well, I'll look it up, yeah.
Great answer. I'm actually trying a different setup today. I'm trying on the iPad instead of on my big laptop, so it blocks the whole face. But let's see who we have in the chat. We have quite a few people. As always, Star Wars inspired. We have Matt Bagwell. What's up, Matt? We have Flight Media, Drone Lake Guy with the cookies logo. We have Caden, John Jackson, Jonathan Jackson. We have Dave Kruger, El Kaba, Joe Cassidy Jr., Ed Rutledge. I don't know how to say that one. Go Yuru something. Ben, you would know. You know how to say complicated words like GIF. Jimothy is here. Curtis Warren. George Kelly. Tech Chip. Rick Hone. Super 8mm 1. Looking for Things. Scott Jordan. Robert Snyder. Tons of folks. Welcome on board. Sorry. Teabag is here. Alien Drones. What's up, Keith? We have Tracy Cormorn, Dave Kruger. I said Dave already. Walter is here. Tim B. Ronald. Anyways, Pegasus Drone Imaging. Jared is here. Jared Janasek. Jared was in the office 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Feels like it was yesterday, but I know it wasn't. 2 weeks ago. We recorded a lot, well, he recorded a lot of content about mapping LiDAR. So we'll get going with the questions as soon as the guy behind the camera over there find the price of crumble. Oh, you got it? Okay, go for it.
So here's the exciting news about crumble. It's $39.93 for a 12-pack, which is, you get nothing less than that.
For a 12
pack. Has to have a minimum of 3 chocolate chip cookies for us to have it. They do have a Lucky Charms flavor this week, though, I see.
Oh, it's Valentine's Day.
Just the marshmallows.
What's this week?
Valentine's Day? You're a month late, right? I hope you're not in trouble.
No, you know why they have the Lucky Charm one?
Oh, yeah.
It's St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, okay. Ben, pay attention.
You said Valentine's.
If you guys haven't seen, we posted a video last week on Saturday, I think. We did a fun game show. Ben was the host. Well, I'm sorry, Ben. Aero McNuts. What was your name?
Aero.
McNuts.
Bostonian Rhodes McJones.
That's right, Aero McJones. So go watch the video if you haven't. Not right now. Go watch it at the end of the live. But we had quite a bit of fun recording it. There's some good bloopers at the end. It took us way longer to record this than it should have, but I did end up winning this beauty right here, which I didn't win, but it's here. All right, let's get started with the video. Oh, I want to add, this week we have a new employee starting. We have Jillian. Jillian is our community manager. Today's her first day, so if you go into the community, I'll make a post later tonight. Give her a warm welcome. Jillian is going to be managing the entire community along with some cool content that we have coming up into the community. So Jillian has been doing communities for a very long time. And yeah, she's a great addition to our team. She's not in the Prescott office. She's in a state in Colorado. And yeah, so it's exciting to have her on board. If you are going to join us at Sun and Fun, she will be at Sun and Fun, and I think other events in the future as well. So, okay, Rick. So John, we answered the question with Crumble. Rick says in a previous video, when you suggested a CBO, you suggest 3 of the 4. Is there any reason you do not suggest the AMA? Yes, there are several reasons. Most of the folks that follow our videos are multi-rotor pilots, meaning that they fly quadcopters and other multi-rotors. Those are typically not very welcome at AMA field. So we tend not to do that. The AMA also has this thing where they require everybody who's going to be flying at one of their field to be a member, which I think that part is fine, but the problem is that all of their fields are FRIAs, where you can fly without remote ID, but if you want to fly there, you have to be a member, which I think goes against what the FAA had in mind originally with the whole concept of a CBO, community-based organization. You need to be able to follow the rules of a community-based organization without being a member. They were very clear about this, and I think the AMA actually goes against this. So I don't agree with it at all, and as a result, I usually don't mention them as one of the CBO because it's going to cost people money to fly their drones when it doesn't need to. So go to any of the other CBO guidelines that are completely free and available to see and follow, and you don't have to pay any extra money. So I also don't believe that the AMA did a good job at fighting remote ID, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay. The list grows for question. Is it too much ask for drones with freaking lasers attached to them? Just kidding. Okay.
You gotta Dr. Evil. You gotta put your pinky up and you corner your mouth when you say that.
Oh. I missed that. I will not do it.
Oh, okay.
I don't want memes out there. Yes, no lasers on drones, please. Looks like DJI will be banned in the US. No, it will not be banned in the US, not right now. How expensive do you think the other companies will go? Will private drone pilots or hobbyists will have better option? No, DJI is not going to be banned right now. There's been too much of a push to prevent that from happening, and we will keep pushing to prevent that from happening. But we have to be on our toes for sure. If they do end up getting banned, then no, you will not have better options. Unfortunately, you'll have worse than better options because there'll be no competition. And DJIs are the ones driving pricing and features at the moment. Nobody else is. There's just none of that. If adding a strobe, and by the way, this is not only DJI, this would be also a ban on Autel, who's basically second closest thing that we have to good drones. If adding, this is from Rick, if adding a strobe light to an Air 3, is it best to place it about halfway between the front and the rear motor to keep balance? Yeah, those strobe lights are not super heavy. They're not going to mess up your weight and balance all that much. So I would put it anywhere but on top of the GPS unit. Now, I don't remember on the Air 3 where the GPS unit is, but it's typically kind of right at the top by the two sensors. I think the Air 3 has those little like frog eyes that come out of the top with the sensors. Don't put it right in between those two because that's where the GPS chip is. I would put it closer towards the back. Jimothy says, in a previous video from last March, you said the original DJI smart controller is not remote ID compliant. That has changed. So the original smart controller is good now, as long as the drone that you're flying is also compliant, obviously. It all comes from the drone, but it should be fixed now with a software update since we did that video. They said Ben's mic isn't working.
That was Tom.
Okay. Jim T says, understand that a Canadian citizen wanting to fly their sub 250-gram drone Mini 4 Pro recreational only has no choice but to register their drone because they're a foreign visitor. That is not correct. Registration is not tied to citizenship. So the rule is the same for everyone, regardless if you're a citizen or not. So if you're flying for recreational purposes, if you don't add anything to the drone and you keep it under 250 grams on takeoff, then it does not need to be registered and it does not need to have remote ID. Engineer Drone Services says, who invented the drone as we know it today? We have that poster over there in set 9, don't we? Did we put that poster over there? Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, I think so. Is it?
I don't know.
It says Abraham Care.
Well, you know what they say. Don't believe everything that's on the internet. You know who said that, right?
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. Stand by on that. I think we have the original one of the original design of drone, but maybe it's not real. Let me see. What does it say?
It does say, it says
It's a patent.
September 1962.
1962. Ben, you remember 1962? Who does the dusting around here? So this is from 1962, September 11, Vanderlip, and
Tilt it a little bit, you're seeing the light.
oh yeah, here.
There you go.
Nice. So yeah, that's right there. I think that's the real thing. So hold on, I'm waiting to see, make sure that it's good. There you go. So yeah, that's long enough for you guys to see it, but yeah, tilt. It's a tilt rotor drone. It actually changed pitch like a constant speed propeller on an aircraft. So hopefully that's it. I hope it's real because I always thought that it was real. So hopefully nobody busts my bubble and said that it's not. Okay, let's see. If the government outlaws DJI drones, how long will it take for the ban to take effect? That's really up in the air. It's going to depend on the bill if that bill ever passes. But no, I wouldn't worry too much about those ifs at the moment. That bill that was proposed is way too far from any of that for us to worry about it, and it's got a 1% chance of passing at the moment. Visual Drone Production says, where is Sun and Fun? That's in Lakeland, Florida. It starts on the 9th or the 10th of April. Or, yeah, I think the 9th of April. And we'll be there. It's at the Lakeland Airport, right at the airport. You can't miss it. It's really cool. It's a cool show. And we'll be there from Monday setup, and then Tuesday is the show until Sunday. So Tuesday to Sunday, if you're in the area, come and visit us. Come say hi. Come get a picture, come get some giveaways, a whole lot of cool stuff. How do we, excuse me, how do we find those flight sites? I'm guessing you're talking about the FRIAs. The FRIAs are available in the Air Aware app from Aloft. They have a full list of all the FRIAs available right there. So you can download that app and see them, and Air Control also has them, if I remember correctly. Tim Colton says, is there a new DJI update where you have to log in into your DJI account every 30 days and a flight distance restriction is imposed? I don't know. I don't know actually. That's a good question. Maybe somebody else can answer that, but I have not seen that update or heard about such an update. I know if you don't log in initially in some areas, then to fly into certain airspace, you cannot. You need to have that login, but I have not heard that. So we can test on some of the older drones that we have. Have the Mavic 3 Classic. Okay, so Florida Cop 911 says, have the Mavic 3 Classic. How do I fix aperture on the camera for best picture? So you can change the aperture on the camera by going into the app in itself, and then you have to go into the manual mode, and then you'll be able to change the aperture. The next question says, can someone find the connection with Skydio in the CCP Drone Act? I mean, Skydio hasn't been shy about saying that that they've been pushing for this kind of ban. So they've been linked to several of these acts. I don't know about the specific one from Congressman Stefanik, but the link is usually pretty obvious. TechChip says, isn't LiDAR lasers? Yes, it is. It is. It's just not a visible laser like you think of on your keychain. But yes, it is lasers. Sky Curtain says, when do you expect the Mini 4 Pro to be available refurbished? There should be some Mini 4 Pro refurbished available already. That drone has been around for quite a while now. Alex says, you speak Spanish. I do not speak Spanish. All I know how to say in Spanish is una cerveza, por favor. Which is the only thing you need to know. And ¿dónde está la biblioteca? What else do I need to know in Spanish?
Biblioteca is a library.
Yeah, I know. Biblioteca. Yeah, that's the library.
You go to Mexico for the library?
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
super
inside?
useful. Can I get a beer and where's the library?
They sell beers in the library, don't they?
Probably. I'm sure they do in France. They sell beer at McDonald's in France. Yeah, no, my Spanish, I can read Spanish fairly well because it's close enough to French that I can understand most of it. I can understand if somebody is speaking very slowly to me, but I am unable to speak another language very easily because it's either one of the two languages that I can speak that comes out. So, Sure Resource says, I want to fly to Germany. How do I get a EU certificate? I know you flew in France. So when I flew in France, what I did is I flew a sub 250-gram drone, and I kept it outside of all the restricted airspace. I flew in the country because my parents live in the country, and so I never really had a need for having any kind of anything. You just needed to have the drone. So I cannot help with flying anything bigger than that, but at the time it was very easy to fly it that way. But with that said, go to the EASA website, EASA, that's the equivalent of the FAA, and they will show you how to get approval in those countries. I know each country is slightly different, how you get that approval, but yeah, that's what I would do. Engineer Drone Services, I'm going to France with Mickey D's. Yeah, it was kind of weird for me. I mean, not that I'm a big McDonald's fan, but I remember always going to McDonald's and there was always beer available right there. And then all of a sudden I moved to the US and I'm like, what do you mean they don't have beer? Mike Michaela says, why do I need a tracking number when getting my official drone certification? I'm not sure I understand the question. What tracking number that is? Oh, FTN. Yeah. The FAA has this thing called an FTN number, and it's a number in their. They have a website where you can apply for the certificate. It's called IACRA, and in the IACRA, your ID number is called an FTN number. So that's what you're talking about, I think. In this case, you just need to create that. It's a free account that's going to allow you to apply for your certificate. It's a requirement. It doesn't cost anything. Dean Schaefer says, good evening. In your class, we have to stay 500 feet away below clouds and 2,000 feet away from clouds. Where's the best place to find that information? That's in 107.51, and 107.51 has like 4 different limitations. If you look in there, I want to say it's delta, but look in there. 107.51, that's got the speed limitation, the 3 statute mile visibility, and then the distance from clouds is in there. Shojan says, am I allowed to deliver parcels in my neighborhood? No, you cannot. Well, okay. So let's say this. You can deliver packages with drones under Part 107 as long as you stay within visual line of sight. As soon as you go beyond visual line of sight, you cannot do that unless you have a Part 135 operation certificate, which is very expensive and almost impossible to get. Can we turn down the fan maybe down here?
Turn off.
Well, yeah, it's pretty loud. Engineer Drone Services, any plans to ever be in the Boston area for anything? Could be a culture shock for you guys. Oh, I've been to Boston many times. Boston is a cool city. No plans at the moment to be in the Northeast. I might be in Philly, but I don't remember when. And that's going to be a pretty quick trip. But yeah, it'll be nice. Because you know what? It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
That's not true.
It is true. They made a whole TV show about it.
If we get 10 more likes, will you do your best Boston accent?
If we get 10 more likes, will I do my best Boston accent? Boston? No, I don't think I can do accents. It would be very embarrassing.
That's the point.
I know. Go Getter Drone says, can I still fly my drone on top of roads when there is no upcoming vehicle? Yes, absolutely. Flying over drones is okay, over roads is okay. Flying over moving vehicle is what's not allowed. Ronald Richards says, will the DJI Pro controller be made to work with the Mini 4 Pro in the future? I don't know. We've had that question in the past, and I still don't understand why it's not compatible. Unless it's an actual physical issue with the chip in the controller, but I believe it should be able to be compatible. I don't know if it's because, I don't know. If I were DJI, I would want to sell as many of those controllers as I could. So I'm not sure of the answer. Go Getter Drone says again, can I still fly my drone? No, we just answered that. TechChip says flight distance restriction is imposed when you aren't logged in. This has been the case for a while. Maybe they've locked down the number of days before requiring a login. It's possible. It's possible. Visual Drone Production says, hey Greg, I studied your course and was getting good scores. Then I get on your iPhone app and was blown away missing questions. Should this concern me? I don't understand. I don't understand how changing to the app would... First off, you can't take quizzes on the app. So I'm not sure I understand the question about, I don't know how that would be different. The moment you add, and by the way, the phone is really the last place you should be watching the course. It's a last resort kind of thing. The course is best watched either on an iPad or on a full computer, just because you need that space to look at the charts and get just the full access to the quizzes, all the other content that's not necessarily available in the app, because the app is really for watching offline videos. That's it. So yeah, I hope maybe that answers the question. The moment you add even 1 gram over 249 grams on a Mini 4 Pro, you are now mandatorily required to register your drone and also have remote ID. Is this correct? That is correct. That is correct. If you put anything on the drone that takes it over 0.55 pounds, then you need to register the drone, which means you also need to have remote ID. So if you put prop guards, for example, on it, then that would be the case. If you put a light to fly at night, then you technically also need to have that, which I think is horrible, quite frankly. But yeah, it is how it is. Jimothy says, is it true that DJI drones only broadcast remote ID via Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth? That is correct. I'm an iPhone user and I use the drone scanner app to meet fellow drone pilots. Does this mean the app is worthless for me? Yes, it is unfortunately worthless from an iPhone perspective to try to pick up a DJI drone. It will not pick it up. Yep. Jeff Lay says, why does the Mini 4 jump a lot in normal mode, but in sports mode it doesn't? I don't know, actually. I don't think we've ever experienced the drone actually jumping around at all. I mean, the Mini 4 is definitely more subject to the wind and to overcorrecting. I don't know if in sports mode it has just, the sensors are just more responsive, so it corrects a lot quicker than it does in normal mode. That could be the reason. Overdrive 148 says, how does registering for DJI Care Refresh work after purchasing it and turning on the drone for the first time? When you log in to that drone, part of the application or the enrollment process when you get started, the DJI Care Refresh is going to be in your account and right there and activated. So it's all part of the whole registration process. Go through the different buttons to get started, and then you'll see the Care Refresh right there. Scott Thomas says, I've heard on videos when flying as a 107 pilot, if you have your Part 107, can you fly either recreational or 107? Yes. That's a great question, Scott, and a lot of people don't understand that bit. If you are Part 107 certified, you have the ability to decide on which rules you follow before you take off. So you could, if this was a recreational flight, you're going to take videos of your kids playing soccer, whatever it is, You could decide on takeoff and say, I'm just going to follow recreational rules right now, 49 USC 44809. You need to have trust, you need to have CBO guidelines, and then you need to follow the other, 7 or 8 different rules that are in there. And then that's it, really. You decide to follow those rules. Now, you can also fly under Part 107 and do recreational flights under Part 107. You just follow the rules of Part 107. Part 107 doesn't say you have to fly for non-recreational purposes. I hope this makes sense. So you can do any flights. I've never done a single flight under recreational rules. I do all my flights under Part 107. Even if it's doing videos of my kids at the park, then I just fly under Part 107 rules because I have this certificate that allows me to do it. I just find it a lot easier to do it that way. So I hope that answers the question. One set of rules to rule them all. That's what I say. November 9, Victor Papa Victor says, do I need my anti-collision light on during the 4 minutes of totality if I'm in the path of the eclipse? No, you don't, because it's actually not defined as night by the FAA, so you're good. Night is actually defined as the angle of the sun below the horizon, so in this case, the sun is going to be at a full angle, so it's not night. He's going to Philly for WrestleMania. Heck yeah. That'd be funny. Yeah, I'm one of the competitor. No laughing back there? Okay. John Mason says, where is DJI on the remote ID for Mavic 2 Pro? I would not hold my breath on that. I don't think it's going to happen for the Mavic 2 Pro. Rotor says, a few videos back you said that the DJI Mini 4 Pro must have a remote ID module on it if I use it with the regular battery and if it is registered. What if I unregister it and get rid of the high capacity batteries? Yes, as long as you're flying recreationally, of course. So if you fly recreationally and you decided to register your drone under the recreational side, which means you added it to your list of drones on the recreational side on the drone zone. If that's the case, then just delete it from that listing right there. It's no longer registered, remove the sticker, and now you don't need remote ID. As long as you have the smaller batteries, you're fine, and as long as you sell the other batteries and don't use them. I know it's confusing. We made a whole video about that. Go Getter Drone says, can I fly near an open assembly without a waiver, and I will not fly or hover on top of people? Yeah, absolutely. And he says, thank you so much. I passed my exam because of you. Congrats. Yes, you can fly near open air assemblies as long as you don't fly over people. Absolutely. Drone Adventures in Nova Scotia. Yeah, coming from Canada, can I fly my Mavic 3 Pro with my certificate from Transport Canada in the States? Nope, there's no equivalency, unfortunately, in the US. So if you're coming to the US to fly recreationally, just do the trust exam, which is free, very simple. And then make sure you register your drone in the US. And then if you're flying under Part 107, flying for non-recreational purposes, then you'll need to get Part 107. And that's a bit more involved, and we can help you with that. AC Does It says, what do you think of the Air 2 today? I still think the Air 2 is a great drone, quite frankly. It's aged fairly well. It still does really well in a lot of the comparison footage that we do for testing new drones. It's definitely not dead. Definitely not a dead drone. So, and you can find them for pretty cheap. Now, obviously, the new drones, I think the Air 3 is probably the best value, and I've said this multiple times, but the best value for the money right now, as far as drones for recreational purposes, maybe entry-level commercial purposes. Yeah, great platform. But the Air 2 is definitely not dead. My Part 107 lapsed back in 2018. I'd like to become current again. Do I have to go through the entire certification? No, you do not. All you need to do is go to the FAA website, FAA Safety. As a matter of fact, here I'm going to put a link for you. It's called ALC 677. Just go ahead and basically go to that link, create an account if you haven't already. It's free with the FAA. And yeah, basically just complete that and you'll be good for 2 more years. You don't need to redo the certification. Jason Reynolds says, what additional certification do I need to fly a bigger drone such as the DJI M40 Agras? I have Part 107. So Agras with the payload is going to be over 55 pounds, which means that you cannot fly it under Part 107. So because Part 107 only covers drone under that. So you'll need a 44807. 44807, look that up, 49 USC 44807. And then if you're flying the Agras with the chemicals inside, you're also going to need Part 137 approval with the FAA. The FAA has changed Part 137 recently, so it's a little bit easier to apply for that stuff. Now, as far as operating that drone under Part 107, you can technically get a waiver. We work with a company that does that, so if you want to email me, just email at contact@pilotinstitute.com. And then we'll get the message. We'll put you in touch with them. It's not cheap because they need to fill out the paperwork and help you with that. But you can technically get approval and then be able to fly drones over 55 pounds with the Part 107 certificate. Robert Snyder says, do you have a link for a good Excel file to use for instituting a business maintenance and safety program? We have a document in our waiver course that helps with that. Otherwise, I would say, yeah, a lot of this is very specific to your specific operation. And so you're going to have, there's no cut and paste. It's not an easy cut and paste. So you're going to have to research and find out exactly what needs to be added to your specific thing. But we talk about this in the waiver course because for the waiver program, when you submit a waiver, you need something very similar to this. Glengale says, on a DJI Mini 4 Pro, is the connection between the RC2 with the internal screen and the Mini 4 Pro a Wi-Fi connection, not Bluetooth? It's not a Wi-Fi connection. It's the original Mini was the drone that had a Wi-Fi connection, which doesn't go very far. Those have a proprietary connection called OcuSync. So DJI is using OcuSync 4.0 now for most of the drones. The Mini 4 Pro, I think, has OcuSync 4.0. Yeah, it's their own proprietary signal. It does use the same wavelength as Wi-Fi 2.4, 5.6 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz. William Young says, how are agri sprayers getting the 135? They operate under Part 137. Part 135 does not apply to agricultural spraying. Part 137 does. 135 is an operation for delivering packages. So, yep. Thanatos PD says, where can I find as much information as I can to debunk these lawmakers and their agenda? Well, depends on which lawmaker. There's a lot of debunking that needs to be done out there. Reach out to us. We'll send you some links. I don't see Vic. I think Vic is on travel right now, so I don't see him in the connection. But Vic has also a lot of good links that he uses. Travis says, is there a way to check for TFRs, or is the FAA website the best option? Quite frankly, the FAA website is the best option, tfr.faa.gov, but you can go on Air Aware and Air Control. Both of these have TFRs as well, but I always go and verify on the FAA website. I see, I'm trying to read both sides. There's a lot of comments, so I want to make sure. I also want to see the comments from what I'm talking about to make sure I don't miss anything. Anyways, 369 Dark Knight says, I hear some drones have built-in remote ID. Is there a site where I can find if my DJI Mavic 3 has it? Yeah, the Mavic 3 does have built-in remote ID, so you're good to go. I'm going to put a link down here in the description for the Declaration of Compliance list with the FAA. That means it's going to tell you which drones have remote ID incorporated into the drone. It's called standard remote ID. I see potato chips over there. Oh, 365 potato chips. Let's see. What's going on here? Fantasy footage. Do UK drone pilots need a license to fly in the UK, or is their airspace less regulated? Ooh, no, UK pilots actually have, I think, more regulation than we do in the US. And the reason also is because the country being smaller, there's a lot more airspace in that area. So no, I would not say it is less regulated at all. For most of Europe, by the way. Most of Europe, when I flew in Europe, actual airplanes, you were pretty much always in somebody's airspace. It was just airspace after airspace. I mean, there are parts of the country that don't have as much, but yeah. 365 potato chips, can you improve the app Air Aware? Yeah, we can. Give us suggestions. We actually have a long list. We did a webinar recently. If you go back on our YouTube page, you go to the live section. We did a live with a Loft, and we got a ton of good suggestions. Their CEO was there, and he took a lot of notes. So I know we'll have more updates. But if you have more, go to that video and leave comments there. That's probably the best way to do. Big Papa Food Review says, I know Greg remembers me. Yeah, he said he's 6'10" and size 23 US shoes. Third biggest foot in the world. That's crazy. Chris Ritchie says, when a Part 107 has a drone, when do they need to... Okay, hold on, sorry. When do they not need a commercial operator certificate? They are operating on their own behalf. A little bit of confusion here. So, somebody who's certified under Part 107 does not need to follow Part 107 rules if they are flying for recreational purposes only. As soon as you fly for non-recreational purposes, you need to fly under Part 107 rules, which means you need to have a Part 107 certificate. But in my previous example of me filming my kids, at the park, I don't need a Part 107 certificate for that because it's recreational. So even if I have one, I could still follow the rules of recreational rules. Another question about the eclipse, Jimothy. Will any DJI drone camera sensor be fried by looking at the eclipse, or if using a high density neutral filter? I mean, you're looking at the sun, and even, well, the full eclipse when the whole moon is in front of the sun, then there's really the risk of frying your sensor is a lot less. But anything in between, there's still the sun coming through, which is still a whole lot. Now, don't look at the eclipse even with the naked eye because there's still a lot of light coming through. But yeah, I would say any other time than when it's fully in front of it, then there's a potential. Now, put a filter in front of it with that ND filter, the darkest filter that you can put on. But also remember, as soon as it's going to get dark, that filter is going to be very, very dark. And you won't really be able to take pictures. So you have to think about what you want to take pictures of. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't believe the drone is the best tool to take pictures of the solar eclipse because of how wide the lens is on these drones. You're talking about 15 to 20 millimeter equivalent focal length, which is very, very wide. In some cases, even more than that. So I would say if you're going to do this, get a ground camera, a DSLR, with a good zoom lens and a good filter in front of it so you can take pictures. But I think people will be disappointed with the quality of their image from a drone because the sun is going to be like yay big on the picture. It's going to be the size of your little pinky in the middle of a picture. So that's just my recommendation. Stan McCarthy says, I registered my drone in 2018. Do I need to register it again? Yes, every 3 years. So 2020, yeah, you've missed a couple. So go back to the FAA Drone Zone, reactivate your registration, $5 for 3 years, and you'll be good to go. Chris Ritchie says, any such thing as an FCC license, 2.4, 5.8 are the ham radio band, ham radio. All the drones are FCC approved to use that frequency. So You don't need an FCC license. Your device already has FCC approval. James says, do you offer any courses for the business marketing side of things? Yes, we have a Drone Business Made Easy course. It's available on our website. And I'm going to walk you through everything you need to do to create a business plan, not just marketing. Marketing is only a tiny portion of your entire business. I'm going to show you how to research your competition, find pricing for your offerings. This is something that I've been doing for years and years and years. And this is one of my favorite courses, actually. I think it's one of our most underrated course because there's so much information in there. And this could be for starting any business, quite frankly. So I use things that I've learned over the years. I've been running businesses for a long time, and I give you the tips of things that I should have known when I was younger. I wish I had known when I was younger. Jim says, if wanting to fly in a Class Delta airspace, recreational only, not registered, when the Aloft app states maximum of flight 100 feet, you still must get lens approval. Yes, absolutely. The number on there is the altitude at which you can get approval to fly to within seconds. So it's an automatic approval within seconds, but you still have to submit the approval. Bruce says, I live on a hill where fog often forms below me. Can I fly above the fog if I maintain VLOS and under 400 feet AGL? No, you cannot, because so this is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. Under Part 107, there is no rules that say you cannot fly over fog. But the way that the FAA explains it, they said that if you fly over fog, you technically cannot prevent flying over someone or moving vehicle, because you cannot see someone or moving vehicle because they're in the fog. So the answer is no. In Advisory Circular 107-2A, there's a segment in there that talks about not being able to fly over fog. Even though advisory circulars are not regulatory in nature, there's still something that the FAA can refer to if they go after you for doing this. So no, technically you cannot. Now here's the kicker, because under recreational rules, and I don't know if I should say that, but I'm going to say it because it's kind of comical in a sense. Under recreational rules, there's no minimum distance from clouds, and CBOs, some CBOs have language that says you cannot fly over people, so it's in the CBO guidelines, but under recreational rules, it's kind of questionable whether or not you can fly over clouds because there's no distance from clouds. Also remember, under Part 107, there's a distance from clouds, 500 feet below and 2,000 feet horizontally from clouds. Fog is a cloud on the ground. Luke Mom, a drone, says, what if if the fog is over a lake? There could still be a moving vehicle on the lake, aka a boat, that you could fly over. So that doesn't add. Oh, we still have a lot of questions. Wow, you guys test me every week. It's like a marathon of questions. Go-Getter Drone says, is it necessary for a DJI Mini 4 Pro drone to have internet for its broadcast module to comply? No. Remote ID completely separate from the internet connection. So your drone could be never connected to the internet ever and still be compliant with remote ID. It's not listed under any category. Am I prohibited from flying over people, moving vehicle? Is it possible to obtain a waiver? The Mini 4 Pro is not a categorized drone. It doesn't qualify for Category 1 because you need to put prop guards on it. So you are prohibited from flying over people and moving vehicles. You could get a waiver for it. It's difficult, but not impossible. So, yeah. Cascade Drone Services says, is there a difference between VLOS, visual line of sight, and visibility in general? Could I use reflective tape, chrome paint to increase visibility, or will that be interpreted as artificially increasing VLOS? So the FAA, here's the kicker. Visual line of sight is defined as more than seeing the drone. Seeing the drone is only part of the equation. You still need to be able to have, I call it, command of the airspace. You need to be able to see traffic from different locations. The FAA also says that you cannot use lights to increase visibility or line of sight. And so, quite frankly, we've done some testing, reflective tape, chrome paint. We haven't tested chrome paint, but we tested different colors of drones. And after a while, it doesn't matter what color it is. It just disappears, or it just becomes the same color after a certain distance. So, in theory, you could try, but it's really not going to give you that much. Robert Flynn says, question, should I be logging my practice flights? I just got Mavic 3 and got a lot of practice with all the features. There's no logging requirement for drones. So you can log them if you want to. It's not a requirement. Some companies are going to ask for some kind of experience if you want to work for them. So having something logged is a good idea if that's what you plan on doing. But if you plan to have your own business, there's really no reason other than for maintenance purposes. So we log our time into an app that keeps track of the flight time for the drone just for maintenance purposes, but that's it. James says, do you have any other courses? Oh yeah, we just answered that. When applying for LANS in air control, it asks whether it is a recreational flight or commercial flight. So far, I always choose recreational. What is the difference in the process? There's really no difference. I think it's just a data collection thing. So I would. Well, no, I'm sorry. Let's rewind. There is a difference on the regulatory side of things. When you fly under 44809, there's a specific section that says you need to get airspace approval in there. That when you get approval through LANS, it gives you approval under that. Now, behind the scene, it's the same thing. It's just that one of them is following 44809, the other one is following Part 107. So click the right thing on here. Even though it's the same approval at the end of the day and you're getting an approval, from a regulatory perspective, it does make a slight difference. Mark says, I have an active Trust Recreational certificate. May I legally post a recreational drone video on social media? Is there no, if there's no monetization. Remember, the rule is all about the intent of the flight. So if you recorded that video recreationally, and then you decide to put it on YouTube, that's fine. That's not a problem, especially if it's not monetized. That's not a problem. The FAA has been clear that the act of putting a video on YouTube does not mean you need Part 107. Christoph says, I heard there's an issue with the Air 2S smart controller working with remote ID. Any knowledge of that? There used to be. It's good now. So make sure you update your controller and make sure you update your drone and you should be good to go. Nate says, do I need a strobe to fly my drone during the eclipse because it gets dark? I answered that a few minutes ago. The answer is no. Dave Holner says, if you are under totality and you can look at the eclipse with your eyes, but outside of it, it's just looking at the sun. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that was confirming what I said earlier. Yeah, so if you're looking directly when it's fully dark, you're fine, but not when there is even a sliver out there. Didn't we have a president that looked straight at the sun? Yeah, I think with the damage they have, all of them. Lowell says, my nephew owns a DJI Mini 2 and a house in a 400-foot grid section of a Class Delta airport. As a recreational pilot, does he have to register the drone and thereby fly a remote ID? No. You can get LANS approval at an airport without a registered drone, as long as the drone doesn't have to be registered. So in this case, he can fly. He's good. AC Does It says, do you think they're making a Nevada 2 of FPV2 or just the Avata? I don't know, actually. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm sure eventually we're going to see a Nevada 2, and I'm sure eventually we'll see an FPV2. Yeah.
Mavic 4?
Huh?
Mavic 4?
Mavic 4? Yeah, I'm sure eventually. They just came up with the Mavic. The length of time between the Mavic 2 and the Mavic 3 was several years.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a while. They're definitely milking the Mavic 3 right now because it's a great platform. And they made what, 7 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 different Mavic 3s. Gordon Jenkins says, what recreational rules are not included in Part 107 flying? Ooh, that's... I cannot answer that question. Recreational rules 44809 are very simple. There's 9 of them. Part 107 is way more complicated. So I cannot give you the list of rules, the difference between the two, but the FAA has tried to bridge the gap between Part 107 and recreational rules by using CBO guidelines. So a lot of stuff that you find in Part 107 is embedded into CBO guidelines, if that makes sense. But I will tell you this, so maybe I should answer the question this way. Under recreational rules, you cannot get waivers to fly outside of the rules. So under Part 107, there is a way to get waivers for specific rules. Flying over 400 feet, flying, why am I having a brain fart? Flying in reduced visibility, you can technically get a waiver. As a matter of fact, we just got a waiver, I just remembered, a couple days ago, in order to fly inside of a cloud. Up to 200 feet, fly inside of a cloud. We have a good reason for it because we're doing a test for a specific video, which may not happen this year, but yeah, we have a waiver for that. So you can technically get that. You could not get that waiver. You cannot get any waiver under recreational rules. You could get a waiver to fly over grid numbers in lengths with Part 107. You cannot do that under recreational rules. So if it says 100-foot ceiling under recreational rules, you can fly all the way to 100 feet, and that's it. Under Part 107, you can request a way to fly higher than that. So I think maybe that was the question, but yeah, that's the difference between Part 107 and recreational rules. The official certificate number is the one on the remote ID certificate or the one on the certificate of achievement given after the recurrent test. Ooh, okay, so let me reread this. The official certificate number, remote, I'm confused by the question. There's no such thing as a remote ID certificate. And I'm not sure what certificate number you're looking for, but I'm not sure I can answer that question, Rabbi. You might have to rephrase it. Look, Mama Drone, there wouldn't be any trouble YouTube videos if everybody kept sight of their drones. Well, yeah, that's something to be said about that. Hummer ZDCA says, Hummers DCA, I think that's how you say it.
Nice.
Well, I spend more time trying to read names than trying to read the questions. And then it throws me away because I keep thinking of their name and then I stumble on the question. And we might need to stop taking questions, by the way. Okay, while flying recreational is the restriction for transition over, across people or car restricted, a hillside I want to see near my house. There are houses. Oh man, I don't know if I can read this question. So, flying recreational, you cannot fly over people even to transition. Let's put it this way. That's, I think, the easiest answer here. If there's moving vehicles, people, cars, whatever it is, you cannot fly over people or people in moving vehicles as a recreational pilot. That's only for Part 107 with a categorized drone. Okay? So even as a recreational pilot, if you bought a recreational drone, let's do that again. Even as a recreational pilot, if you buy a categorized drone, which there are not but one, you still couldn't fly over people because that's only a Part 107 rule. And I think that's the confusion that a lot of people have. Whew. Where can I find CBO rules? I would recommend going to Flight Test Community Association, ftca.org. You can find their rules there, or the Freedom, why am I having a brain fart? Freedom Coalition, FPV Freedom Coalition, sorry, fpvfc.org. They also have their rules available on there. And then STEMC Plus is also another one. Whew. At the end of the session, I'm not as sharp. BMAD says, Hey PI crew, just hopped on, not sure if this was asked already, but is there any circumstance whatsoever where you can fly over people or moving vehicle under 44.09? I just answered that. The answer is no. Chris Ritchie says, are the following mods available? Tethered power supply, computer driving, if capable, flasher router for communicating between the drone. No, that's above my area of expertise. I'm sorry.
Tethered power supply, yeah.
What's tethered power supply?
A tethered drone.
Oh, idiot. Yes.
Computer driving on the M300.
What's computer driving?
Controls on a computer.
Oh.
Flight controls on a computer.
Yeah, see, Ethan is decrypting this. Flasher router, I don't think.
If capable, flash a router. It connects to the controller, not the drone directly.
Yeah. Yep. Scott Thomas says, why is there only one drone vendor with OOP Category 3 compliance, and why does the list only shows Category 3? There is indeed only one Category 3 drone approved at the moment, no Category 2. Why? It's a bit of a guess, but this drone that is approved is a drone that it's a drone that flies for mapping missions and typically over large areas, and it's Category 3 is still fairly restrictive, by the way. But yeah, it's the reason why there's so few is because it's a very niche market, and it's only a market for the United States. So the drone that is approved right now is, and I'm having a brain fart as to the name again. My brain doesn't work at the end of the day. But anyways, the EB drone. That's an American company, and because they're on the American market selling drones mostly in the US, then they've gone through the application to get that approved. But that's the bottom line. DJI probably has very little interest in doing that because it wouldn't create more sales outside of the US. And quite frankly, the U.S. market is, the U.S. politicians are trying to destroy DJI in the U.S. I don't know why they would invest more money to try to get a drone just for the U.S. market, with all the risks that are going on right now. So I don't blame them for doing that. I think it's a lot of expenses to get that approved by the FAA. And I don't know that the return on investment is there for those companies because it only applies to it only applies to the U.S. market, but it also only applies to a fraction of the people on the U.S. market. Those that have a Part 107 that want to fly over people and want to pay the extra cost of getting that drone because it's going to be extra expensive. So, that's what I would say. 2 more minutes, folks, and one more question. Look at that timing. That's the rest of Chris Ritchie's question. A lighter than air gas balloon attached via pipe to make the craft lighter, longer flight time. Moored balloons are covered under a different type of rule. And then 3 or 4 blade props that exist already, adjustable pitch propeller that also exists, and a spring launcher that also exists for fixed wing propeller. So yeah, all
So
those.
if you attached a helium balloon or multiple to a drone
Yeah.
to make it lighter, how would that affect its flight, do you think?
How would that affect the flight?
Yes, and second follow-up question, can we try that this week?
It would, well, first off, you'd have to find a way to put that balloon so it doesn't get blown around and chopped by the propellers, because the propellers are right on top of the drone. Maybe with a larger drone like a Phantom 4, but you risk at any time the drone ballooning or moving like this. And then, of course, you'd have no control of the drone, just like a hot air balloon has very little control. So I don't think that's that great of an idea, quite frankly. But oh, wait, we have the Hamster Pilot and hamster-powered hybrid drone.
That's right.
Will the Hamster Pilot and on the hamster-powered hybrid drone have sunglasses, especially during the solar eclipse? That's a good question. How high can the hamster go if duct taped to a helium balloon? Need oxygen at 14,000 feet. It does need to be provided with oxygen as per FAA regulation, Part 91. Yep.
Yeah, and you can't directly duct tape a hamster on the fur. It
You
would need to
should
be
definitely
in-
not.
Yeah, in one of those round balls that they can run in,
Because
and then you could tape the ball.
because you can doesn't mean you should. Well, don't tape the hamster inside of a spinning wheel. They're gonna run out of breath at like 5,000 feet.
That's how it controls the drone. Though.
That's how it controls the drone.
Yeah.
No, that's just cruel. No, hamsters are cute little furry things. Don't mess with hamsters. Okay, I think that might be it. Yeah, the comments are going downhill. It is 5 o'clock. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Join in on Friday morning for news updates. Friday evening for a happy hour on the community. Thank you, Ben, for being my brain. I'm so fried. And we'll have Jillian actually on the happy hour on Friday. Have a discussion with Jillian. So if you want to come meet Jillian, have questions for her, join us. And that's in the community. community.pilotinstitute.com. That's it. That's all I have. See you on Friday. And go watch that video right after you're done here. Go watch the video of the game show. It's on the YouTube channel.
It's called Is It Recreational?
Is it recreational or medicinal? Bye.